So I'm Steve Newton, as you've just heard. I look after our digital channels over at Finastra for our partner ecosystem team. And I'm really excited today to talk about how to build a always-on 24/7 digital experience for partners. Just to give a little bit of background around me, I've worked for Finastra for the past 4 years when we were starting to create our partner ecosystem in its current guise. To give you a little bit of background as well, Finastra's been traditionally working with partners for many years, more so in the kind of implement style partnerships. But about 4 years ago, we set out to create a brand new partner program called Fusion Orbit Program. For those of you who want to know a little bit more about Finastra, Jesus, that is bright. Great white slide here as well. I've gone against the grain and used some Finastra branding here. But a little bit about Finastra. So we are one of the world's leading fintech providers, providing software solutions to banks and other financial institutions throughout the world. We have about a suite of 100 different products, and a little fact, I thought there would only be a couple of big player names out there for banks. There are literally thousands of financial institutions throughout the world. So a massive marketplace for us to be able to play with our various products. And as you can imagine, partners are a big key part of this. So first of all, let's frame it a little bit. What do we see as a digital ecosystem itself? There was a fantastic webinar, which I hope everybody saw here yesterday, with the lovely Amy here from Partner Path yesterday night, talking about what comes first, your partner portal or your program, or is it both? Now, no guesses as to what the answer might be for that. But the partner portal and your digital experience and your digital ecosystem is incredibly important for when you're building out that program. But what do I mean by that ecosystem itself? So, voila. Our ecosystem. A lovely AI-generated image of something that I wanted 24/7, so we put 27 in the middle of it, but great work. Your digital ecosystem derives itself from things such as your tools and platforms that are available to you. Everything that's engaging with your partners, and that could be everything from your PRM, your LMS systems, to email content marketing, everything in between. Your digital ecosystem is all about sharing and collaboration as well, acting as platforms that are available for you to share your knowledge. Conversely as well, it's all about automation. So how can you automate the content that's available in there, making your life a lot easier to access, reducing that manual intervention that's there as well. But also your digital ecosystem provides that single source of truth as well for when you want to be able to provide information to your partnerships as you're growing out your ecosystem. But why is it important? Obviously covered off some of those points, but really when you delve into it, why does a digital ecosystem matter? First of all, it's always on, supporting your global partners 24/7. Now that might sound really obvious, but if you think about the amount of man hours that must go in when you've got a partner who's waiting to get a piece of content from their account manager, who's fast asleep or on holiday or wherever they may need to be, your digital platforms act as that place for partners to be able to get the content that they need regardless of time zone or where they are. Your digital platforms are designed to drive efficiencies, making sure that you can streamline some of those tasks that would otherwise be quite manual. Deal registration, for instance, hot topic of today. Partner engagement is an incredible piece as well for your digital ecosystem. It's talking about how you encourage your partners to stay active in the partnership by surfacing content, surfacing information, seeing how your partners are engaging with the work that you're doing. Your digital ecosystem as well is going to be your biggest tool when it comes to looking at your data-driven insights as well. How many of your partners are logging into your platforms? How many of them are creating deals? How many of them are completing their sales training? How many of them logged into your demo software? Your platforms are also designed to scale and grow with you as your program expands. So your digital ecosystem is there to help drive it for you. And finally, your digital ecosystem is there to be your central source of truth for your content, making sure that you can put information on there, saving it from, instead of it being on someone's desktop that gets emailed out and being out of date information. But this is just scratching the surface around why your digital ecosystem is important. I'm going to deep dive into what makes up a digital ecosystem for us, and I'm going to give you examples around what I built at Finastra to get us to where we are today. So, who has one of these? Fantastic. And who has one of these and you just came into the business and you're like, okay, I've got that, perfect. But also, I've got that as well. Oh Christ, now I've got sales training as well, and that lives in some place else. And then I've got demo software and I need that to get out to my partners as well. And then I've got my technical documentation, and then I've got somewhere I need to put marketing development funds. God, I've now got to do content management across all of these different things as well. And then I've got partner communications because I want to talk to everybody about this. And then I really should try and automate this, because there's no point in me having a system if I'm still doing the manual effort that comes along with it. And then I want to understand who's engaging with it, what does my analytics look like, who's doing what. Oh yeah, cool, I get to look at a .com site as well. That becomes part of my digital ecosystem as well, along with my partner portal. When I started off again at Finastra, this was us. And I set out to change that so that instead it looked like this. Our partner portal becomes the central hub for all of our content, all of our platforms, all of our interactions with a partner. There is nothing worse than having all of these systems, different logins, different information. Some people know about it, some people don't. All of this can be held and managed through your portal. Now, that's not saying that I put all of my training materials in the partner portal or I put all my technical documents in there. But what it's saying is that from a user journey, they can log into the platform and they can get to the content that they need. And at that same time, those users that are engaging with my partner portal, those are the ones that I'm tracking on my data analytics. You have to go through the door before you get anything else, so I'm going to see how many times you walk through. When I set out to create the digital ecosystem that you see here, it was really important for me to also think about how we were going to create platforms that would support the partners at every stage of the journey. Now, I'm sure we've all got a partner life cycle when it comes to when you find a partner, to how you onboard them. Some of you might have 3 stages of it, some of you might have 10. At Finastra, we've got 6 different stages for our partner life cycle. Our digital ecosystems support each of these. So right in the beginning, we have our discovery phase, very much focusing on understanding what partners are out there, meeting our needs, talking to them, having those conversations back with them. And then we move into this qualify phase. We're starting to understand them a little bit more. We think there's a real benefit to working with a partnership with them. We're starting to get to know them, understand them, and then we want to sign on the dotted line. Hopefully everything's going well, there's a business plan template in place. Then we move on into our onboarding phase as well. So that's when the fun really begins. Partners can then start looking at their sales training. They start meeting their marketing teams. They start looking at the technical content. We then move into this activate stage once all the training is complete, which is really around supporting that partner as they then have that first deal with a prospect, 1 or 2 deals, Finastra really supporting them. And then finally moving into this scale stage as well. So when a partner's completed multiple deals, going off to do, being able to fly a little bit more by themselves, but obviously with Finastra support. Now, hopefully some of this looks familiar. Some of this you may consciously have, or some of it subconsciously have around, how you bring your partners on board. But as I mentioned, our digital channels support all this stage of the journey. So right in the beginning, we have our .com site. So this kind of first interaction with our partners, it really is the main digital landscape for any of our prospect customers, our prospect partners, our prospect vendors, looking in to see what this looks like. And so for me, it was all about understanding how do we get people through the door here. So partners can go on here, look at our program, look at our playbook, explore the wealth of the other companies that we're working with as well. Understand, they can explore the partner program and see all this kind of information, but also finally having a call to action at the end of it for them to progress further. Great, you've captured our partner program. Are you interested in this? What do I do next? We then move into opening up what we call our prospective partner portal. So shout out to Niels here as well, who's obviously implemented it at Boost AI. But this was really about opening that kind of door to our partners that we're having those conversations with. You know, we think you're a prospect, we think you're going well, we want to go in the right direction. We don't want to open up everything to you. We don't want to be overloading you with too much information, but we want to be able to give you some of that content that's a bit more commercially sensitive. You know, it's not something we want to necessarily put out there in the public, but also give you that understanding around what you want to do at each one of these stages. What's expected of you at the qualify stage? What will you need to do at the commit stage? You will need to fill out a business plan. Brilliant, here's your business plan template. Here's your contractual information. Everything that's referenced in there, the documentation for it is held in here. Now, all being well, the partner then signs on the dotted line, they become a fully fledged partner with us, fantastic. And as I mentioned, you know, that's where the real fun part happens. You know, the partner goes through an onboarding stage, and that's when we open up our partner portal itself. As you can see, still on the classic version over here. But for us, it's really about the ability for our partners to then start getting their teeth into this. You know, all the great stuff that comes along with this, registering deals, exploring the events, looking at the news section that we've got in here, opening themselves up to looking at all the various different product pages as well. A really important piece around this is having dedicated information to talk about Finastra's products, especially if everything lives on different platforms. So I always think about the partner portal signposting those users on how to get to the next step. It then opens itself up to all the various other platforms, so the learning management system, the marketing platform. But when the partners are in here, this is when I can start really using segmentation and to its full advantage and communicating out to those partners in the right way. From here, these are our other platforms that are then interconnected. And this is how we then target them based on their personas as well. So just to give everybody a little bit of a background around this, obviously our sales enablement platform, targeting very much that persona around the sales leads, the pre-sales teams, the technical teams about understanding the products, the marketing platform for our sales and marketeers as well, and then our technical documentation over here on the right-hand side. But if you remember what I was saying around how the partner portal acts as that gateway, fantastic. I've got single sign-on between these first two things, hence the lovely fuchsia colour. But over here on the technical documentation, not so much. Instead, I have a link, I have some details around this. And you might be thinking, oh, okay, well, in this day and age, we could do something a bit more. We can. But ultimately, it still comes back down to my original adage that anybody who wants to access any of my other connected platforms can do so by going through a central point. They do not need to ask for anything else. Their account managers don't need to remember anything. It literally lives here. But one of the key things that comes along with this, and obviously you're promoting something externally to all of our partners, is all about how do you drive support internally? Because your biggest advocate of everything that you want to do externally is going to be your internal teams. So I took the same approach when designing our partner portal in being able to create something that was interactive, useful for our internal teams, making it visually appealing, putting relevant content in there, being able to make sure that we have policies and processes and documentation, understanding what the program entails, dashboards, all in one place. Because it's well and good for us going, hey, yeah, do you know what? We've got love for our partners, but hey, you guys that deal with them, nah, not so much. No, we wanted to make sure that everything was there for them. We could also use the same platform for us to communicate out to our internal teams. So using the internal comms that came along with this. You know, we use SharePoint in this. Other platforms are available, but we use SharePoint for us in here. So when I think a bit about the digital ecosystem itself and what to consider and everything that comes along with it, there are a number of items that always spring to mind. Your partner experience drives your partner engagement. Now, this can be everything from your face-to-face interactions to engaging with the partner and what they look like in their digital self as well. So how your partner's experience with you is really important around that engagement side of things. It's so important to think of your digital experience as your partner's journey with you. So take that moment to think about, well, actually, all of my partners, what are they doing when they come on board? What are the digital touch points that come along? A really important one is that where is it you want to get to and what do you want to achieve? Are you building out a program from scratch? Are you adding in new regions, new products, new routes to market? How will your digital channels support your end goal? Even if you understand your partner journey, your partners might not. Now, prior to the wonderful world of fintech, I was working in retail and hospitality, and the very first thing that I was ever told was, you are not your customer. And that's also so true for partners. So what you think might be really relevant to them, the partner might be like, that doesn't help, I need this. So understand what that partner journey looks like. And you can do that by looking at those data-driven decisions and seek feedback. Absolutely so key and so vital. Talk to your partners, talk to your internal teams, talk to those people that are having those conversations with them. Now, keeping your partners engaged as well. Really wonderful, fantastic. I've got all these platforms, fantastic news. But I've always said that our digital channels are as important to us as Amazon's website is to them. And if you take that away, what do you have? You've basically got the Avon lady from the 1960s and loads of warehouses. And, you know, how am I talking about this? How am I engaging with people? So you can really build out this wonderful experience, but if you don't actually shout about it and engage with your end users, are they ever going to come visit? Here are a couple of topics that I always think about when I talk about that engagement strategy. What those things for you to want to consider when you're starting off thinking about actually what is it I want to talk about. One of the most important things is around staying consistent. Build a comms strategy that you can maintain. Now, I'm sure we are absolutely all guilty of this when it comes to going, I want to do this and I want to do that. And I'm going to send a newsletter out next week and I'm going to send a webinar next week. Do something that you can maintain and hold on to. Even if it's something that once a month that's consistent, think about that. And make sure your messaging is relevant as well. Is it going to be important to that partner? And be conscious of that tone of voice as well. Are you going to get their attention by sending out something from the head of AI at your company versus it being just a message from your brand? Think about how you're going to capture the audience's attention. Think about your digital touch points as well. Understand the partner's journey throughout the platforms. Obviously something I've really honed on about. Understanding where is it your partners are going depending on what they're doing. Reiterating your message at the most important points. So if you're talking about, okay, there's an update to your latest products, are you putting an update on the deal reg page? Are you getting them to see some of that information? Where is it that you can land the message at the right times? Segmentation and personalization are such a friend in this case. Segment your content to avoid information overload. You know, I think, again, we all receive this, loads of emails every day, lots of different things, any of it relevant, and so much of it just gets automatically deleted now. So try and make sure that you're sending information that's going to be relevant to that partner group. Personalization ensures that relevant and tailored messages can be looked at, can be answered. Does it say, "Hi Stephen" in your subject line? Is that going to grab their attention? Your data and analytics and feedback, again, super important. You know, you're sending out all of this information. Are you actually seeing that value coming back into this? Gain insights into partner preferences, behaviors, and trends. And your data and analytics also help you anticipate your user needs and enable more effective strategies. What are you seeing? Where they're going to? You know, are you seeing peaks in people going to access technical documentation? What's going on there? Look at that challenges. And then finally, when you're talking about engagement as well, think about how you can build out those kind of online communities. And what I mean by that is it's not just like, oh, I'll build a forum and then someone gets to vent on it. No, it's much more around understanding what platforms will provide you the best return. And also understanding that how you can collaborate, connect, share information, share updates around surveys, really foster that sense of belonging so that it becomes a real two-way street when it comes to engagement. Otherwise, it's just emails going in a one-way direction. Now, a couple of example engagements. First of all, automated onboarding. A really simple to use, simple to implement prospect. When we set out the digital channels right in the beginning, we were approving every single user that was coming on board. That was fun. Um, Instead, we set it up so that every approved partner account had automatic access into the platform. It meant that the team that were working over in Australia didn't have to wait for me to wake up for me to then just hit approve on this. Straight into the platform itself. Ongoing training and certification reminders. So use those tools that are available to say, hey, you've not completed your training. Make sure you log back in today to complete it. There's some new updates that are available. Using those automated tools to send out that communication. Marketing campaign segmentation. Again, a really important point around segmenting the content that's there. We use in Partners News on Demand, and that works really well for us in segmenting the content that we want to out to the user base itself. A really interesting statistic is that actually partners are a lot more engaged sometimes than what I see from customers. We saw a real increase in what I thought was the average open rate for emails, something like 24%. And actually our latest newsletter had something like 35%. So you see a really engaged user base when you're sending out comms, especially from a centralized platform. And then finally, feedback. Use your opportunities to try and gain feedback, but obviously don't make it content overload. You don't want pop-ups on every screen. You don't want lots of different surveys that are going out. Make a consistent approach to feedback and start using this data to understand your return on investment when it comes to building out some of this stuff. How effective was this content on your sales enablement training? Did it help you land that deal? How easy are you finding the content that we have here? Really important points that come along in also understanding partner satisfaction and partner engagement. We all love a survey where we can just press 5 stars and just move on from it. No one asks any questions. So obviously cover quite a lot around digital engagement, digital ecosystem, why it's important to build it out and how you can keep it alive so that, you know, it can run in the background, making sure that your partners are always engaged. But there are challenges and there are things in the future as well that you're starting to see come through. But you can't guess what one of them says. So challenges in the digital partner world. First thing that always pops up to mind is resistance to new platforms. I mean, we all do this, you know, regardless of, you know, what might be coming in and how digital first we might feel like we actually are, there will be resistance to some of the new platforms. It's all about how you land that message, going back from your internal teams, how you get them to get buy-in, to see the value that comes along with it as well. Hey, if you get your partners on board into the partner portal, you won't have to register deals. You can then see that data instantly. It is in your best interest for them to do this. Information overload, again, hot topic, always talk about this, and it's so true. There's so much content that can come through. So how do you avoid those challenges? Again, things like segmentation, landing the right message at the right time, making sure you're consistent with what you're saying and that it's relevant to a partner's perspective. Maintain those personal connections. You know, we're all here right now as well, you know, and it's so important. Digital channels are not there to replace the personal connection. They're there to enhance it because your account managers aren't getting bogged down with trying to find the latest version of a program or a contractual information or having to log something or get sales training out. Low engagement rates. Now, again, this is something that happens all the time. And sometimes low engagement rates are okay. You know, depending what your partners are doing, they may not want to come back into your portal. I would love it if every single one of my partners logged in every single day and I'm like, yeah, great. That's not going to happen. So, but also it's interesting to see, okay, are you seeing those peaks and troughs? Are they coming back? Is there a return? Rather than it being like a longer term issue. And then finally, understanding that return on investment. Again, a huge topic of conversation for today. And, you know, some really good pieces that have come out by it. And I've always said as well that actually, yes, it's so important to attribute that dollar value to all of the investment that you put in. But sometimes your return on investment when building out your channels can come from everything such as how well your partners are perceiving the partner program itself. How well are they engaged? How confident do they feel around the sales training that you spent all that time doing it? How quickly can you get a partner to complete their sales training to then register their first deal? And then some of the future elements that I've started seeing coming through as well. Again, this is going to be a real shocker. AI, amazing. But really seeing that increase in AI functionality, where does that come into play for us? I think about use cases that come along with this, and absolutely you can start seeing how it works in the back end. But also, if you get a partner logging into your platform and they go, how do I address this case? I've got a client that's got this issue, or they've got this specific use request. How can I get this? Get it to traipse through all of the content that you've created previously around how to sell your product, all of the use cases, all of the closed ones, closed losts. Get that to try and spit you out an answer. That's where you see, that's the ultimate nirvana for some of this stuff. A bit like us in ChatGPT. Greater personalization and content surfacing as well. I think about the user experience for partners from logging into our platforms. And it's always that case of, great, I've done X, now how do I get to Y? Now it's all about, I've done X, Y is already there for me. So I've logged my deal, here's what I do next on my sales journey. Omni-channel experiences as well. So again, a really interesting piece. Omni-channel's been around for ages, but all about that. How do I take the laptop experience really back to my phone now? When we built out the program 4 years ago, middle of COVID, it was like, okay, everyone's in front of their laptops. But actually, as people are out more and more, how do you getting that content while you are face-to-face with a client, where you don't have to fire up like, hey, let me just quickly log in. And then finally, again, something that we saw earlier, and actually really pleased to see it on the in-partner roadmap, was this co-sell and dual partner motion, where we're seeing partners sell the services and selling the product, and our brand itself sitting behind this as well. So actually seeing more and more of that coming out into the ecosystem as well. So as I kind of come into my takeaways for this, don't worry, it's not 6 key takeaways, it's 8. But I did want to share with this as well, because I think it's really important sometimes to also celebrate the successes as well. And our team at Finastra has done a really great job in being able to support in driving this engagement. And the changes that we've made have really kind of shown that kind of increase in our account engagement by implementing some of these changes that we had. Having that single source, having all of the platforms easily accessible, constantly talking to our partners at the right time in the right place. Little side slip by putting a minus symbol in green, but that's by the by. But also looking at our industry average rank as well. And, super happy to see that we're #1 for our industry as well for this. So, very, very happy with this. And I wasn't lying, there are 8 key takeaways for this. But this is all about how you're building out your partner ecosystem and your partner experience. And these 8 really were the foundation for when I first looked at what was important for us to build this out. First of all, starting off in a self-evaluation cycle, taking that introspective look into going, actually, what have we got at the moment? What's going to be right for us? What's not? Is it going to meet the needs of our growing program? Looking at that data as well. So where are we seeing partners engage? Where are we seeing, what are our account team telling us? What are the partners saying to us? All of that kind of information that comes along with this. Using that information around that self-evaluation, the data that we've got, was beneficial in me building out the strategy. And the strategy was fantastic, because anything in digital, a lot of the times, you can just do it quite instantly. The amount of times I had people going, hey, I need this document. Brilliant. Well, I've put it on the platform. Fantastic. It's such a quick win. But then obviously you can build out your longer term plans as well for how it builds out your growth. Again, a really important point is this user experience. How easy are you making it for people to get into the content? How many clicks does it take for somebody to get in there? Is it nice? Is it clean? Is it easy? I think about Nils's experience with PX. It's fantastic. Super clean, super straightforward. And that's what you want, because you don't want anybody hunting around trying to find that content. Which then brings me into content management. Your digital platforms are really there to be that kind of the library of all the content. You might be writing it, other people might be writing it, but having a content management plan in place is incredibly important. Owners, when content's due to expire, when does it need to be reviewed? All of that information will make sure that you still keep that experience going, because people don't go, well, don't log on there, that information's out of date. It's all about how you have ownership for that. And then kind of coming back to this continuous feedback piece, isn't it? It's all about Am I going in the right direction? Did that piece of work that I spent 6 months on actually land the right way? Well, it didn't. You know, that's still important feedback to understand. Communication and engagement. Think about how you're talking to your end users, how you're getting out that content to them, and how are you communicating consistently and successfully. And then finally, automation as well. You know, how can you automate some of these tasks, from everything from onboarding the partner immediately to assigning sales training, for them being able to have immediate access to your other platforms through single sign-on, whatever it might need to be. Think about these kind of 8 different categories when it comes to your digital ecosystem, and actually how do you score yourself in each one of these? And from here, you can start really building out a really robust platform.